r/Airbnb hosts. Greet Life 1985 says, just a rant, some of this Airbnb hate is insane. You don't like Airbnb? Fine, get a hotel. So I commented on a post where there was a side discussion about Airbnb vs hotels. A few things said were just not true or not technically true. 1. That Airbnbs are more expensive than hotels and that Airbnbs have all these hidden fees you don't know about till you get there. So, as to the Airbnb cost, hotel. It's not true across the board. As this article mentions, and is my experience, Airbnbs are cost effective for longer stays and larger groups. Of course there are other considerations to make, pros and cons on each. But the blanket statement that Airbnbs cost more than hotels is just not true. In my area, a stay of 3+ nights in a 1BDRM Airbnb for 2 people averages around $170/night. Including all fees, cleaning and otherwise. A hotel room is about $200/night on average. I'm sure that's different in different areas. About hidden fees. I've stayed in Airbnbs for over 10 years now, 100s. Never have I encountered a hidden fee after I booked. Sure, if you aren't paying attention, there are hotel taxes, Airbnb fee, and cleaning fees added right before you book. If you neglect to read the final statement, you'll be surprised. I dislike the way Airbnb does it. It should just include cleaning fees, or not have them, or make it more easily seen. Still, if you read, you'll see. It's not just cleaning fees. Taxes and Airbnb fee are added before checkout. But my motto is people don't read period. Anyway, rant over. Appropriate Amoeba 406 says, my husband and I have 5 kids between us. We've been staying in Verbos since they came in the scene. We just built our own vacation home and put it out there. A hotel isn't even a realistic option if we are traveling as a family. Maybe a resort suite situation, but at that point you are paying more than a vacation rental. Absoluta Bajiner says, the fees being added right before you book is the problem. People want to review and compare clear prices for a product or service before buying that product or service. Fees should be clear from the start. Obligatory. I'm not an Airbnb host, and I'm sorry to tell you that the algorithm is driving randos like me towards posts in this subreddit. Bija91 says, it depends. I've had wonderful experiences with Airbnbs, and I have had awful ones where the keys aren't in the lockbox and I have to drive an hour each way to get cell signal to contact the host and Airbnb. Wasted 4 hours and then got blamed for something that was approved in writing by the owner, which I fought. Another one had a camera facing inside into the living room. Another Airbnb charged us for us washing pots and pans and putting them in a dryer rack and running the dishwasher with plates and silverware because it all didn't fit together, large pots and pans. No clue why we got charged. Another Airbnb in SF didn't clean the house, so we had to leave and come back in 4 hours with all of our luggage. I still like Airbnb and I like the idea, but the inconsistency is a huge problem. The nickel and dimming, the astronomical fees on certain listings. The demands of the hosts are an issue. We stayed at a place that required us to mop floors for a 2-day stay and still charged $150 cleaning fee. This is for a condo situation. Then again, I've stayed right by a river. I've stayed far away in the mountains. And I've stayed at some large places that can accommodate 12 people. Outrageous Royal 9175 says, I don't pay attention to that stuff anymore. My homes are being booked, so I know there's a demand. Those who can't do stuff find it easier to criticize. They were not likely your target audience anyway. Those who want more affordable accommodation than a hotel and a home to stay in will continue to see the point of your service. Fast Pop 8911 says, Yeah, I don't think the majority of Airbnb hate is about the cost or fees. It's about all the hoops and weird rules and restrictions you have to jump through as a guest. I'm fine paying a $100 cleaning fee, but not when I'm required to strip the beds, take out the trash, do the dishes, and vacuum. Recent rules on an Airbnb I stayed in. I'm also not willing to provide the trip itinerary and photoids for every single person I'm traveling with to a host pre-check-in, something I've seen discussed on this thread as necessary just today. Especially when we are talking the difference of $50 a night. For any stay shorter than a week, I'm picking my ability to just show up and leave without having to jump through massive and weird hoops. r/Airbnb hosts. Lady in public says a guest accidentally set himself on fire. Happening now. Usually we have the greatest guests, but I've seen a steady decline in quality. Guest books mansion for 12 people. Shows up with 14 and 2 dogs. Asks if a couple more can come, but not stay the night. House can sleep 18 to 20 with insurance, has 7 bedrooms, 6 baths, 3 kitchens etc. But we maximum it at 14 to avoid parties and problems and maximum guest comfort. Guest claims Airbnb won't let her register the other guests. Says she didn't claim the dogs as they are Chihuahua, like £4 each fine. We don't have any candles, matches, lighters, nothing that can be lit on fire, and smoking is strictly prohibited indoors, although we can't control what happens outdoors or in the park. Guest texts at 9 PM. Help, my guest has set himself on fire with many parts burnt. WTF. We rush over as we were close by anyways to make sure it wasn't a party. My goodness, the youth of today. Guest thought it would be suave to take his very manicured self, covered in hair gel, cologne and brow wax, and light a cigar with the gas stove top, and he caught fire. Spoiler, he singed a few eyebrows hairs, eyelashes and a sideburn. No blisters, no red marks, just a scary flash from putting his alcohol-drenched body close to open flame. Guest of a guest is wailing about his content creation career. Dude, if you filmed yourself burning off an eyebrow trying to light a cigar on a gas stove, you would probably go viral. Too long. Didn't read. Don't use gas stoves to light illegal smoking objects inside of an Airbnb. I fear for our young ones if the first time they use a gas stove is to light something other than food on. Maximum Gaza says, why on earth did they contact you to help them? Guests sometimes think hosts are their catch-all responsible for 100% of their trip. So we just provide the place to sleep. Call an ambulance. Next thing you know, you get a money back request and a bad review because somehow it's your fault. JBMC00 says, I think it's in the terms and conditions that if you host anyone under 25 you are automatically their parent until they check out. Equivalent mode 9972 says, our last 2 guests at one of our small rural cabins, literally back to back, have asked us if they can use the amenities, a fire pit area, etc. at our neighbor's house, where he lives. We are discouraged from outdoor fires in our area as it's so close to the national park as it is for guests/tourists, so we never put one in and don't have one in our listing. I'm baffled that they would ask and be offended that they can't use our neighbor's personal space and belongings. Like you are getting so much and it's not enough, you need to burn strangers' things? Negat1 Veg says, 1 star. Unsafe property, the stove lit my friend on fire, they almost died. Big Rhubarb 2746 says, hang on guest, let me dial the Charles Darwin hotline. Ribcast says, and just think, these ding-dongs will be in charge one day. Left ad 3767 says, new sign time, don't use the stove to light your DBs. Watha Hey 2 says, do you think that you should put out a bowl of Tide Pods for them based on their obvious intellectual capacities? Dead Bear 65 says, smoking in the house. Charge a cleaning fee above the normal fee. Primary P8524 says, I needed this laugh today lol. Hefty Advertising 54 says, breaking your rules doesn't make it illegal. Either way, that's a crazy situation. Glad to hear nobody is in the emergency room from it. Glitterkef says, these days you don't what kind of guests you'll get, or if they'll even leave. There are some crazy stories on here. Nascent Winners says, do you live in the neighborhood and rent your other house by the night? That seems like the problem, right there. Rent it to a family on a 1-year lease minimum, problem solved. Mel username says, lol. I stupidly did this myself in my 20s. My lighter wasn't working, and my drunk self thought lighting my cigarette via the stove in my kitchen was a great idea. Unfortunately for the eyebrows and eyelashes on the left side of my face, I decided to put the cigarette in my mouth and then light the stove, rather than the other way around. The gas clicked, but it took a second or two for the igniter to catch, and boom, it took about a year for the hair to grow back. Definitely not my finest moment. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.